Yeah, I watched it. Is everybody on? I was here last week. Some things just need to be started on. That's how we do it. Well, I don't know. I just think yeah. I knew I kind of did it. Stories of you live what by the then
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 19 meeting of the Ann Arbor City Council. If you're able, please rise and join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would our clerk please call the roll of council?
Councilmember Dish.
Here.
Councilmember Harrison, absent. Councilmember Watson, absent. Councilmember Malik.
Here.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Iyer, absent. Councilmember Ackman.
Here.
Councilmember Briggs.
Here.
Councilmember Cornell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
May I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, second by Councilmember Ackman. Discussion of the agenda. All in favor? All opposed? The agenda is approved. Are there communications today from our city administrator?
No, Mayor.
In the absence of communication, in the absence of introductions, we move straight into public comment. Public comment reserve time. Public comment reserve time is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to council and the community about matters of municipal interest. To speak at public comment reserve time, one needs to have signed up in advance by contacting our city clerk. Speakers in all instances will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk or the time clock will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first speaker today is Jan Bauer.
Thank you. I first want to warn all of you that this is more negative than I typically am. I'm about to read a letter that in some ways says how I feel better than I can. And I do understand that some of these issues have already been addressed. This is from my friend Carol Mull. I have studied the comprehensive plan and find it problematic. The plan does not address specific infrastructure upgrades that will be required with more housing. The plan should provide cost estimates for fixing deteriorated roads, adding water, where are we going to get it, and waste, where are we going to put it, and allowing for more vehicle, bicycle, and foot traffic. At this time, it takes about 45 minutes to drive from downtown to US 12 in the late afternoon on Washtenaw. At what point will this be a safety risk because emergency vehicles cannot get through? We need to repair our existing roads and sidewalks, stop the Gelman plume, and make developers provide low-income housing rather than put money in a fund for a start. Finally, increasing density should not mean forcing families out of neighborhoods. They are the lifeblood of any city where residents have a connection and a commitment to their neighbors, parks, schools, and local businesses. This plan will allow outside developers to build more student housing in order to benefit a transient population, while pushing out those who support the cultural and educational organizations in Ann Arbor. Density can be achieved by working with the university, downtown employers, and residents to identify how citizens want their city to grow and prosper. It is time to pause, develop a specific infrastructure plan, and rethink the future of Ann Arbor. The next issue, the pictures that I had sent out to everyone. These pictures were taken recently of sidewalks in Ann Arbor. Unfortunately, trash like this exists all over town, sometimes not as bad, but it is there. Who is supposed to get rid of it? The merchants? City cleanup crews? No one? I'm sad and disheartened, sometimes outraged by how our community looks and feels. Are our taxes not high enough to pay for what I believe people living elsewhere take for granted, what other places much less affluent have, and that is basic maintenance? By the way, one establishment that did exhibit a sense of pride, of responsibility, of caring, sweeping up, planting flowers in window boxes, going the extra mile for sure, and I know you know, of course, this was Downtown Home and Garden, but now sadly, even they are gone. Please, City Council members, do something about this very real problem. Let me see if I have
Thank you.
one other. I just wanted to add quickly about the first
Ma'am, thank you.
subject. Additionally, I'd like to add a specific problem I've heard and hope it's a rumor that might present itself under the plan. It is that houses in our neighborhoods. I can finish. Is that?
That 30 seconds.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
No, I mean,
That's okay.
your
Thank
3
you.
minutes. Your 3 minutes is, I'm
Thank
afraid,
you.
up.
It is that houses in our neighborhoods may be constructed tall enough to block out the sun from other people's already existing homes around them.
Ma'am,
Yes.
the 3 minutes is up, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, that's it anyway. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Appreciate this.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Blaine Coleman.
You might want to ask your children how they feel about you spending so many decades, so many years blocking the resolution against military aid to Israel. It shouldn't be news to you now that the majority of Democrats, the big majority of Democrats, your constituency, are against arming Israel. They see what Israel is doing as a genocide. This is your constituency. When it comes to young Democrats, they are overwhelmingly against arming Israel, and they overwhelmingly see what Israel is doing as a genocide. So again, I ask you, like I've asked you for over 20 years, when are you, the Ann Arbor City Council, going to finally vote for the resolution against military aid to Israel? The Ann Arbor City Council, that's you, is acutely aware that Israel is committing genocide and acutely aware that the U.S. has to stop arming that genocide. I mean, look how excited you got to try and make a huge statement against ICE, which you were right to do. ICE has recently killed 2 people in Minneapolis. Israel has killed at least 72,000 people in the Gaza Strip. Why are you excited about ICE killing 2 people, but you are completely blind and deaf to Israel killing over 70,000 people with your U.S. tax dollars? Why? Your voters will reward you for actually taking a stand for the Palestinian people. The polls show that. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin has actually signed a letter against arming that genocide. She signed, this is not a matter of shame. This is something you should be shouting from the rooftops, Ghazi Edwin. This is something you should be insisting the Ann Arbor City Council vote for, instead of hiding it like some kind of shame. Ann Arbor Council candidate Aidan Sova signed the same letter against arming that genocide that Israel is committing. Should be a matter of pride. He shouldn't hide it. Ann Arbor mayoral candidate Yusuf Rabi has also signed that same letter against arming that genocide. So have local state representative Carrie Reingans, Washtenaw Commissioner Annie Somerville, Ypsilanti City Council members Amber Fellows and Desiree Simmons. The list goes on and on. Just approve the resolution against military aid to Israel.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kathy Griswold.
Good evening. For many years, I've been talking about pedestrian safety. When I see people on the street, they want to talk to me about pedestrian safety. Sometimes they thank me for the RRFBs, but more likely they talk about a concern that they have. We know that our serious and fatal pedestrian crashes are at a 10-year high. It's been that way for 3 years. And then we got our Transportation Department 2025 report. Not a single word about crashes. They talked about the meetings they have. I have never seen a more activity-heavy report in my life. No accomplishments other than having activities. It was really sad. But then I saw the Ann Arbor Fire Department's report for 2025. Those are the people that are actually on the streets doing the work, impacted by bad designs. They report vehicle crashes with injuries, 173 in 2025, up 40%. 40%. Everyone should be screaming. They should be doing something. This is a crisis. Instead, the Transportation Department doesn't talk about it. As far as I know, Council has not seen the 2024 crash rate because it was bad. Okay, vehicle versus pedestrians. Last year, 44, an increase of 22%. How can this be? I don't know. But I've got a few ideas. We need to follow the Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Consistency is very important. We should not be creative with where we place our signage, and we should not have sandwich stop signs. There is a rule that you have a stop sign, and everyone knows it's a stop sign from the back because it's uniquely shaped. So why would we put another stop sign on the back of it? No idea, other than we have extra stop signs. So that's one. Another one, those little poles that we're putting in the road for protected bike lanes, that's great, but the tape is coming off, it's being knocked off, it's covered with grit, and you can't see them at night because they're not reflective anymore. Lastly, I just want to repeat my request one more time that we really need a sidewalk on Maiden Lane near Broadway. That is where we are forcing pedestrians out into the roadway. We spent over $500,000 for a transportation study. Beekman on Broadway, thousands of units. We can't do something as simple as a little sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jeremy Haley.
Jeremy Haley, Ypsi Township. I don't know if you heard that they're putting a bill together in the House or somewhere in there to take $4 billion out of property tax revenue. I spoke with this everywhere I've went and to all the officials and stuff to say, hey, changes are coming in the property tax system. You might want to start thinking now is what if that really does happen? How are you going to fix it? it is in the works. When it's going to happen, how is it going to happen? Who knows, but it is going to happen at one point. It is in the waters, and people aren't giving it up. Because it comes down to, they use your homes, my home, as tax, as a dollar sign to fund things. And I can tell you right now, on my mortgage, I'm about $350 away from not affording my home if any other millages or anything come across my way. So as you all think of, hey, we want to do this and that, you're driving people to homelessness as you add on. So you really need to think about what changes can come. And lately I've seen a lot of different protests go on for no kings, immigration, and the current, event, up in Nipsey with Reuben and stuff like that. And what I want to say is I come at contentious topics, subjects from a place of, I guess you'd say, the scientific method, asking who, what, where, when, why, and come from a place of a non-feeling, because some of these you have to take some of that out to get to the nitty-gritty of things. And that's why I've been told some of the things I say come out cold and direct. That's kind of where it comes from, because I don't come at some things from a place of looking at it. And with recent protests, especially that's been going on in the last few years and recently, I've noticed that, especially the guy who got shot in Nipsey 27 times through a vehicle, there was nobody at any of the meetings saying anything about that one. Nobody a peep at commissioners, Ipsy Council, nothing. They just let it just fall to the background. I'm just here to ask why. Didn't his life matter? Didn't he have a mother, somebody who loved him? All life matters, his did. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there communications today from council? Councilmember Cornell.
Thank you. I wanted to, as usual, call attention to some stuff going on downtown. First of all, I wanted to address some comments earlier that there are multiple downtown business associations. I'm an active member of the Main Street Area Association. There are a couple biz associations downtown, State Street associations, that all maintain our downtown flower boxes. They pay for additional cleaning. So I think I want to acknowledge that that is something that, as those of us who are downtown every day working and owning businesses downtown, we do pay attention to, and we want that to be a warm and welcoming and inviting place, which it is. So on that note, I will say one of the agenda items tonight is exciting. Sunday, March 8th, Shamrocks and Shenanigans is downtown. If you're not a runner, you don't have to be. You can walk it. You can walk it with your kids. It's very accessible. It's just a fun Sunday downtown. I encourage folks to check that out. It's on the Main Street website, any details that you want. And I also wanted to call to attention, this is kind of a popular event annually downtown, which is Youth Art Month. And without commenting, other than to say without a contract, the teachers in the Ann Arbor Public School District are pulling back on some activities, including Youth Art Month. Which is really sad for all of us. I think that's a really good community builder. But that event is being moved to May. So please stay tuned for additional details on that. And my last note is that due to an unexpected compressor failure, the ice arena indoors at Vets Park is currently closed and will be closed for the remainder of the 2026 skating season. Staff are working to get a quote for the repair work, which they hope to have by the end of next week. And at that time, we'll have any time frame related to the parts availability and as to when that fix could happen. And I really appreciate staff being quick and on it to work on rectifying that. And in the meantime, stay tuned for additional open skating times, whatever people do on ice hockey programming at Burr Park Outdoor Ice Arena. Staff is working to build up some of that programming as well to fill the gap left behind by vets. And again, my gratitude to staff for working on that so quickly.
Councilmember Dish.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my pleasure to tell you all that last night the City Planning Commission approved for your review the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, which has been about 3 years in the making. More than 50 people spoke in this chamber, and there were still more than 50 people here. It reaffirmed that no one who lives in Ann Arbor takes this city or its amenities for granted. People who spoke care very much about this city. They may have different visions for what its future should be like, but everyone feels lucky and grateful to be here. For the most part, it was a good-humored meeting. And we also heard a very strong commitment to affordable housing. And I said something last night that I want to say again here, and that is that it's important to understand what the city cannot do and to celebrate what we are doing in the area of affordable housing. So more than one commenter asked us to enforce the law requiring that development in the city include affordable housing units. There is no such law. Making developers provide affordable housing is not legal in the state of Michigan. But thanks to Ann Arbor residents, that doesn't stop us from providing affordable housing because this city has an affordable housing millage and an affordable housing trust fund. And so the city has put forward 9 city-owned properties as sites for development. And the city has chosen to devote this land to serve not missing middle housing needs, which are important needs, but we have chosen to put this land towards serving the most vulnerable residents, which are making 60% or less of AMI who may have been unhoused, many other qualifications. And there are so far over 1,200 units in the process of development funded by the affordable housing millage. 2 of those projects are on city-owned sites, and others are public-private partnerships. And that's within, those funds became available in 2021, so we are moving really fast and not breaking anything. We're building them. So.
Further communication from council. I would like to nominate the following appointment for approval in a one-step process to the Board of Review, Nancy Bowerbank. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, second by Councilmember Ackman. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved with 9 council members present, all voting the affirmative, thus satisfying the 8-vote requirement. We now come to the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Dish, second by Councilmember Udina. Discussion of the consent agenda. Councilmember Briggs.
I would like to pull CA3.
Further discussion of the consent agenda. Councilmember Dish.
I would like to express delight for CA14 and CA17. And I'm allowed to do that now, right? Absolutely excellent.
Absolutely.
So CA14.
The delight blossom.
I'm filled with delight tonight. CA14 will add a staff member to the Sustainable Energy Utility. And the job of this staff member will be to begin owning or to work with the tasks that follow from our acquisition, ownership, and operating of the first SEU assets, which means solar and batteries on people's homes and in their homes, and helping to create the billing system for that, and constantly inventing all of the procedures that have to be invented to run an SEU. I don't know what those are, but that's why we hire people. And then CA17 is just the great news that the city clerk's office will be continuing the same early voting plan that was established in 2024 for even year elections, using 6 locations for presidential primary and even year general elections, which includes City Hall, the University of Michigan Museum of Art, Duderstadt, Traverwood Library, Mallett's Creek Library, and Westgate Library for 9 days. Not all cities in the state of Michigan can afford to provide the access and the coverage that we do in this city for early voting. And again, we owe a lot of thanks to our amazing clerk and her amazing staff.
Further discussion on the consent agenda? Councilmember Cornell.
I have a lot to say tonight. Just kidding. CA 15, I just wanted to call attention to that. This is a subgrant that was awarded to Ann Arbor Spark and is from the Michigan Economic Development Corps. And it is to develop a site readiness strategy, which sounds really fancy, but it's something that we talk about a lot in this community regarding the city's ability to be competitive when sites become available for sale, identifying them proactively and having a plan so that we are in a competitive position when sites become available, so that they aren't snapped up perhaps by an organization that doesn't pay taxes in town. So that's kind of a cool thing. And I think it's really a sign of a signal of the good work that he's over here, so Mr. Giant is doing with his department and building up an actual robust economic development program in the city. And so to have that confidence at both the state level and with our local partners is really meaningful, and I'm excited to see this move forward.
Further discussion? Councilmember Rodino.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to very briefly follow up on the comments about early voting, and thank you for drawing attention to that, Councilmember Dish. But I also was just on a session earlier today with Deputy Secretary of State Agogo Devier, and wanted to also draw attention to the fact that there is certainly some anxiety out in the public about the potential for disruption at voting sites, particularly from federal immigration agents. And so I wanted to also remind folks that while early voting is available for the 9 days leading up to the election, absentee ballots are available beginning 40 days before the election. You can always vote in person absentee here at City Hall. When you receive your ballot, you can vote and bring it to City Hall early or drop it off at our voting boxes. Obviously, voting earlier is better, and it reduces your risk of any type of disruption that may occur. Obviously, we will be working hard to make sure that our election sites are not disrupted, and I know that according to the Deputy Secretary of State, they are working actively and preparing to make sure that any potential disruptions to our elections will be met swiftly with state action. So, thank you.
Further discussion? I would, just in keeping with daylighting a lot of great and good things that are going on in the consent agenda, want to reference CA 10, CA 11, CA 12, which are all portions of the work being done by the Office of Sustainability and Innovations in our Bryant neighborhood. As folks know, the Office of Sustainability and Innovations, funded by the Community Climate Action Millage, approved by voters in 2022, is working incredibly hard through the SEU and through its own offices and with partners in the state to create the nation's first carbon neutral low income neighborhood. That effort is ongoing. It holds great promise. It is presently making residents' lives in that area of our town better as we speak. It's increasing their resilience. It's improving their energy affordability. It's making their homes safer and more comfortable. We are going to continue that effort through the contracts approved here, through our district geothermal program, which is being devised through the Sustainable Energy Utility. And it is one of the things that a government that works for you can accomplish when working together. And so I just want to express so much gratitude to staff for working and getting these programs and projects off the ground, as demonstrated here in the consent agenda, and also to thank the residents for approving the funding that makes it all possible. Further discussion of the consent agenda? All in favor? All opposed? The consent agenda is approved with 9 council members present, all voting in the affirmative, thus satisfying the 8-vote requirement with respect to CA 9, CA 14, CA 15, and that is all. CA 3, resolution to approve a participation agreement with Scioto Township, Washtenaw County for purchase of the Davenport property and appropriate $231,000. Moved by Councilmember. Councilmember Briggs, seconded by Councilmember Malik. Discussion, please. Is there an introduction?
Yes, there is a staff introduction, and I asked for that because this is just a really exciting project that's coming in front of us. We have the Greenbelt Millage, or also known as the Open Space and Parkland Preservation Millage, thanks to the city residents. That's a national model in terms of us being able to preserve farmland and open space. And in 2024, we approved amendments to create a new Blue Belt program to be able to protect our drinking source water quality. And so this is the first project to come in front of us. I think it's really exciting, and just wanted staff to be able to talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, Councilmember Briggs. This is the first enactment of a longstanding vision that stemmed from the Greenbelt's 2019 strategic planning process, where we engaged with the public and heard resounding, unanimous support behind a top priority within the Greenbelt's focus for the remainder of the millage life, which was water quality. Everyone wanted us to find ways to more strategically target projects that would result in water quality benefits for city residents. So when we looked at the existing Greenbelt boundary, and then what properties were contributing to source water protection for the city's drinking water itself, the geographic scope of that area was actually quite limited. So then when we came to you all in 2024 with a significant revision to Chapter 42 to the Greenbelt Ordinance, with it came the addition of this source water district overlay that we later branded as the Blue Belt. And it allowed us to extend our reach further upstream into the watershed and target properties in partnership with fellow conservation agencies to expand that reach and the potential impact for water quality protection. And so this being the very first project, it's taken, as I said, since 2019 to get to this very moment. But given that the Greenbelt started in 2003, and we are very soon to cross the 8,000 acres threshold milestone for the program, we all know that this was a program that takes a great deal of effort and time to bring into fruition. So this being the first of these types of projects is very exciting, and I appreciate the opportunity to provide the context.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilmember Malley.
I too just want to echo my excitement for this agenda item tonight and the official start of the Blue Belt program. My role at the state, as many of you know, is with the Department of Agriculture. And the state of agriculture across the country, but also specifically in Michigan, is not great. There's a lot of pressures on farmland. There's articles in MLive this week that the state of Michigan lost 100,000 acres of farmland just last year. For context, that's, maybe 1% to 2%. So maybe you think that's not a lot, but it is still substantial. If that happens every year, we would run out quite quickly. And there was also an article that farmland is reaching astronomical prices, that Michigan saw the largest increases in agricultural prices for land across the country. So to see something like this that is working very hard to preserve farmland and open space is really exciting. When folks ask me what I like about being on Ann Arbor City Council, one of my favorite responses is that you get to step into this role and there are many long-range plans already in process. And you're not, just starting these grand visions. You're stepping into the middle of them. And the one I always reference is the Greenbelt. As Mr. Long said, we're in year 24, something like that, of this plan, and it's just really exciting to see this long-term vision playing out right in front of us, and it's achieving really great things. So I'm excited about the Blue Belt, and will happily vote in favor tonight. Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved with 9 council members present, all voted in the affirmative, thus satisfying the 8-vote requirement. Thank you. We now come to a set of public hearings. Public hearings are opportunities for members of the public to speak to council and the community about the specific subject matter of the public hearing. To speak at a public hearing, you need not have signed up in advance, but your speech must relate to the specific subject matter of the public hearing. That is to say, the item on the agenda to which the public hearing relates. Speakers in all instances will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk or the time clock will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Public hearing number 1, an ordinance to amend Section 5.19 of Chapter 55, Unified Development Code of Title 5, Bicycle and Vehicle Parking. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor, I don't see any callers for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 2, an ordinance to amend Section 5.28.4 of Chapter 55, Unified Development Code of Title 5, Community Participation Requirements. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor, I don't have any callers online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 3, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55, zoning of rezoning of 0.15 acres from PUD Planned Unit Development District to R4C Multifamily District, 715 through 717 East Huron Street rezoning. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor, I don't have any callers online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. We have before us the regular meeting minutes of February 2nd, 2026. May I have a motion, please, to approve these minutes? Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Gaziano. In discussion, please, of the minutes. All in favor? All opposed? The minutes are approved. B1, an ordinance to amend Section 5.19 of Chapter 55, Unified Development Code of Title 5, Bicycle and Vehicle Parking. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion, please, of B1. Councilmember Dish.
Thank you. So this is primarily a change to bicycle parking standards, which are being altered in ways to support A20 goals of increased bicycle ridership. Changes to the bicycle parking standards reflect 6 months of research, site visits, meetings with community groups, and 2 meetings of the Ordinance Revisions Committee, as well as Planning Commission. So the meat of the changes make an increase in required parking at multifamily developments and a decrease in Class A, which is covered parking, typically indoor, in downtown districts. Now, why would we decrease parking in downtown districts? Well, this particular class of parking, which again, as I said, is covered parking, it's typically indoor in downtown, research found that indoor bike parking rooms downtown are not being used to full capacity. And they are, in fact, often nearly empty. And in some cases, they are being used as storage rooms. And the reason for this is that because of their location, the downtown residential uses are often aimed at students. And students who live that close to campus tend to walk and not have bikes. So they can walk or bus to campus, but they can also walk to restaurants and retail. These students also have access to public and private bicycle parking facilities nearby that are provided by the university and the DDA. So we have these empty spaces that were required, but they are on or near the ground floor and can be valuable for activated uses rather than empty storage. So that's the rationale for that bit. Everything else I'm going to talk about is just an addition. There's an addition of barrier-free parking requirements. One of these is required one of these indoors is required per 50 bike parking spaces, where more than 50 bicycle parking spaces are required. This is fewer than Portland requires and more than Boston requires, and that's all I know in terms of how it compares. There may be many other cities to compare it to. For the outdoor spaces that are provided, one barrier-free space per 25 is required where more than 25 Class B or C bicycle spaces, and that's the outdoor ones, are required. And I think we all experience a shortage of those and also a frustration because our e-bikes don't fit the traditional bike racks. But the great thing is that with this ordinance revision, there is a guideline on, well, no, there's actually prescriptions on rack specifications that provide more options for a greater variety of bikes. Yes, okay, it's so technical. So I'll come back if you seem really hungry for it, but you don't seem so.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilmember Briggs.
Yes. So I appreciate this, and this ordinance is, there's a lot of great things, a lot of things to like about it that were, all of the work that went into it clearly is an improvement over where we were at. I think that's clear to see, and there's a lot of strong additions. I do have some concerns, and we'll be making a motion to refer it back to Planning Commission, but I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is. And part of it is, like a lot of the work we do when we're thinking about development, we are thinking about the city that we're building, right? And these buildings are going to be with us for a long time. So we have climate action goals. We to reduce our car trips by 50%, and that's what we're aiming, and that's what the infrastructure is that we're building on our streets is to accommodate that. And well, I know that some of the indication looking at the downtown is that some of the bike rooms are empty. I've also heard other reports from other folks who have looked for at downtown housing where they've seen full bike rooms, and so I don't think that it's uniform across all developments. Furthermore, I don't think we're building a downtown just for students, though I see plenty of students on bikes. We are expanding the plan that Planning Commission just passed last night is all about expanding our downtown area as well. And so I anticipate we're going to have more need there. So when we see a substantial amount in our reduction in our Class A parking, which is our bike rooms within new developments, I find that somewhat concerning when those numbers are so much lower than what we're seeing in TC1, because we know that there's no better place to be able to get to everywhere than from downtown. Also, there's some really, I don't think that the ordinance that are seen in front of us yet accommodates for changing trends in bicycling. So we know that there are more cargo bike and electric bike users. So reached out to our local e-bike store, Urban HEH, Urban Riders. So their numbers are and this is just locally, 2021, 10% of their sales were cargo bikes, 2022, 11%, 2023, 13%, 2024, 15%, 2025, 21%. So we are seeing trends, and just like EV, we need to anticipate those trends and then build for them. Also, another issue that I'm seeing in this is that Class B parking is covered bike parking, and that is something that is incredibly valuable for folks, and we haven't incorporated that much. Now, the reason's not to do that in space-constrained downtown, but in other parts of the community, I think there's a lot of opportunity for that as we build out. So I do have a motion I'd like to read, and I did consult with planning staff before preparing this. I sent it to Jackie. Okay. Should I read it now, or should I?
I'm trying to think of like when's best to have,
Yes,
like,
exactly. And I can,
why don't you,
I'll just read it so people understand what it says.
please.
Okay. So I move to refer the proposed bike parking amendments back to Planning Commission for further consideration and analysis towards the following outcomes. The maintenance of current requirements or increase of proposed requirements for the quantity of Class A bike parking in D1 and D2 zoning districts. An increase in, second piece would be an increase in required barrier-free oversized bicycle spaces for Class A, B, and C spaces from the proposed standard, and reduction in threshold that triggers need to provide barrier-free spaces. And third, explore an increase in required Class B bicycle spaces across multiple zoning districts and uses, except for D1 and D2. And that these outcomes be considered and responsive modifications be presented back to City Council by July 6th, 2026.
Is there a second? Second by Councilor Ackman. Discussion of the motion. I guess.
So I'm just gonna, can I?
Yeah, I think we're on a new motion, and so
Okay.
cue on the new
Okay.
motion.
So for those who have not dug into this, I would not expect, Class A, again, is bike rooms. Class B is covered bike parking. Class C are just those stands that you know, bike racks that you see outside of businesses. So I think I sent this to Jackie. It might be helpful if you're able to send that around so others can see that.
Further discussion of the motion of the motion of referral. Councilmember Ackman.
I wanted to express my gratitude for Councilmember Briggs digging into this. And, you know, I think I experience the same thing as a lot of people, that when I go downtown, oh, sorry, I'm distracted by the blurry video of myself. I have this experience, like a lot of people I know that rely on bike to get around, that there seems to be a lack of parking downtown. And I think, like Councilmember Briggs stated, all of the direction of our transportation redesign is heading towards, you know, making our downtown more accessible to the surrounding neighborhoods. We're trying to encourage people to get on their bikes, and so I think, you know, we do need to build for the future. So I'll be supporting this.
Dish then Briggs.
Yeah, I think part of the issue downtown is the lack of outdoor, parking that's for non-residents. And that was not in the scope of this amendment. And it is largely under the purview of the DDA. If I am understanding correctly, I don't know if staff is here to gently correct, as they often need to do. So I take the point about needing to plan for the future and accommodate a world in which there will be more people relying on bikes to get around downtown. I feel that there was a tremendous amount of work and research that did go into this. That doesn't mean it can't be changed, but I'm not sure it's a priority for it to be changed right now. There is a lot of work coming to Planning Commission, spread over a small staff, a staff that is too small, in my view. So I'm not going to support the referral, but I also understand and feel that, it is a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Councilmember Briggs.
Yeah, and absolutely right, Councilmember Dish. This is not just about downtown. This is about new development everywhere, and I think making sure, particularly in those Class B and those Class C spaces, those covered parking and racks, that we're building the type of infrastructure that folks need to see. I bike around a fair amount, and those new businesses, the businesses that I go to, I often find that the facilities are lacking, and they certainly, folks that I know who use cargo bikes don't find those spaces there. And currently, this ordinance, as is written, doesn't correct for that. It requires 1/25, and so that's quite a large, any development that has 25 bike racks is pretty unusual. And so it's building it in so that those thresholds are lower and that we're building that type of infrastructure so that, maybe one of those 4 spaces might be accommodating of that. And while I agree that there's a lot on Planning Commission's workload, I did talk to our planning manager and ask what the appropriate time frame was, and this was the time frame that I was provided back. So I think I was very open to this not being necessarily a rush sort of situation, recognizing everything that was on folks' plates. But I do think that if we're going to take the time to update this ordinance, it's worthwhile to make sure that we are getting it right, and that we are adjusting to the types of trends that we're seeing and the needs that we have in our community, and not simply saying, some bike rooms are empty, therefore we should reduce all of them, because I'm getting reports that folks are going to new buildings and finding the bike rooms full. So I don't know what to do with that information.
Got Regina, then Ackman.
Yeah, I guess I have a question more so as I'm trying to think through the amendment and in referral, I guess, or the referral with direction. And I guess I wonder, acknowledging that there's not necessarily an expectation that this is going to be a quick process, is there a reason, I guess maybe we wouldn't direct that this work to happen separate from the update of the ordinance so that the rest of the updates aren't delayed? And that, acknowledging that a lot of work has gone into this, and folks seem to acknowledge that this is an improvement, this would then delay the ordinances from being updated, or the ordinance from being updated tonight as well. And so I guess I asked that question maybe to you, Councilmember Briggs, but I also am, I guess, asking it largely for everyone.
Councilmember Ackman.
Okay. I think we do have a time for which this comes back, which is July. Incredibly, that's not that far away. But also, what I wanted to highlight was that I don't think has been brought up is the preponderance of e-bikes, and how if you were living downtown in an apartment, those things are very unwieldy and heavy, and often bulkier. And I could see even a greater need for bike storage that's outside of one's apartment and on a ground floor. So I wanted to add that.
Further discussion of the amendment or the referral? Roll call vote, please, starting with me.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
We're voting on the motion, right?
I'm sorry, this is the referral.
Yeah, the referral. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I'm new at this, so you'll forgive my mumbling. Yes, roll call vote on the referral, starting with me. Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember Iyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Ackman?
Yes.
Councilmember Briggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Cornell?
Yes.
Councilmember Dish?
No.
Councilmember Harrison? Absent. Councilmember Watson? Absent. Councilmember Malik?
No.
Councilmember Medina?
No.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
B1, and sorry, that was B1. B2, an ordinance to amend section 5.28.4 of chapter 55, Unified Development Code of Title 5, Community Participation Requirements. Moved by Councilmember Dish, second by Councilmember Ghazi Edwin. Discussion, please, of B2. Councilmember Dish.
Well, this ordinance, as I think I mentioned last time, we talked about it briefly, is about signs. Signs where you want them to be when there's new development in your neighborhood and you don't know who to call. Now you will. You will know what is happening, where you should call, and whether you can attend a public hearing. So this is really part of our desire for greater transparency. We want to help people find avenues to express questions, concerns, and aspirations regarding projects. And we want them to do that when they're questions and concerns and aspirations can be most effective. So these signs will be posted at the site of the development, which is where most people encounter new development because, oddly enough, they don't always look on the council agenda. So we will post signs early and we will put them where the action is, and we will do it for developments that are appearing for the City Planning Commission, regardless whether those developments have an officially noticed public hearing or not. Projects have an officially noticed public hearing when there is a rezoning, a PUD, which is a rezoning, a change to the UDC, or a special exception use. So those projects always have a public hearing, and now those projects will have a sign by them too, which is great. Projects requiring site plan approval also appear before the Planning Commission, but it's important to recognize that site plan approval is an administrative action. So those actions do not have a public hearing because the Planning Commission does not have discretion in those cases, but they will have an officially dedicated space for comment on the Planning Commission agenda, because very often things that people say offer insights that can sometimes be incorporated. But when a site plan meets all the requirements, which site plans don't get to Planning Commission unless staff feels that they do, it has to be approved. And sometimes that's not clear. So I think that this is a terrific change, and I support it.
Further discussion? Councilmember Briggs.
I just want to say thank you to Planning Commission and staff for putting this forward. It's great, a great addition to our community, and I think it's going to make it a lot more, just a lot easier for residents to see what's coming before them. Yeah, and what to participate in.
Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. B3, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 zoning, rezoning of 0.15 acres in PUD, planned unit development, to R4C, multifamily district. 715 through 717 East Huron Street rezoning, moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion, please, of B3. Councilmember Dish.
This is a rezoning requested by the property owners themselves. They would like the building to be able to be used for housing, which is currently prohibited under the site's development agreement, which allows only office use. No new development is proposed at this time, but this would make it possible to use the site for housing. The City Planning Commission determined that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the adjacent zoning, the surrounding land uses, and the city's comprehensive plan, and they recommended approval of the request at the meeting of December 16th. And I voted yes then and will vote yes now.
Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. DC1, resolution to authorize settlement of City of Ann Arbor v. Tetra Tech of Michigan, Washington County Circuit Court Case 2500153CK, moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Adina. Discussion, please, of DC1. All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. DC3, resolution to approve the 2026 insurance renewals for policy premiums exceeding $90,000 effective March 1, 2026. Moved by Councilmember Iyer, second by Councilmember Ackman. Discussion, please, of DC3. All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. DS1, resolution authorizing summary publication of Ordinance 26-1, an ordinance to amend Section 5.19 of Chapter 55 Unified Development Code of Title 5 of the City Code of Ann Arbor, moved by Councilmember Cornell, second by Councilmember Iyer. Discussion, please, of DS1, perhaps a postponement indefinitely, pending the return and approval of the ordinance to which it references. That it references. Moved by Councilmember Ackman, second by Councilmember Briggs. This is to say the postponement. All in favor? All opposed? It is postponed. DS2, resolution to authorize summary publication of Ordinance 262, an ordinance to amend Section 5.28.4 of Chapter 55 Unified Development Code of Title 5, the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Malik. Discussion, please, of DS2. All in favor? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. We have the pleasure of a closed session today. We have before us the clerk's report of communications, petitions, and referrals. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the clerk's report? Moved by Councilmember Dis, second by Councilmember Malik. Discussion, please. All in favor? All opposed? The clerk's report is approved. We have communications today from our city attorney.
No, thank you, Mayor.
In the absence of public comment overflow, may I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councilmember Medina, second by Councilmember Gaziano. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.